Hi everyone, I'm filming a video about this brewery here, Macrock. Anyway, as a political science graduate, I'll explain what this is. So, registered Korean voters get this in the mail, let's say a week or a week and a half, 2 weeks before an election. And basically these are leaflets that every single presidential candidate makes, designs, and then sends to the election commission to be sent out on their behalf by the actual government federal election commission. I'm not sure of the rules of what they can and can't put on the paper. I'm sure that there must be some sort of rules about what you can and cannot put on the paper. But I imagine a lot of it's, you're of this party, you're running for president, you get a, 8.5 by 11 size paper, put what you want on it, as far as trying to sway or influence the voters of the country. So, I won't show you the address. Let me make this clear. These are not for me. I cannot vote, obviously. I'm not even a permanent resident, let alone a citizen. Therefore, these are not mine. However, my wife is in Italy. She advance voted anyway. These were in her mailbox. I don't know when it arrived, but I got to her house yesterday. It is now 4 days before the election. So, this is what's inside. Again, I won't show you... Well, I suppose I can... No, I shouldn't show you that. It's got her name, part of her ID number, and her address. And I was going to show you the other half of the page, but it's literally a map of where she lives. So no, you're not seeing that. Somewhere in Cheonan. That's as specific as we'll get. So, there are... Wow, there's only 3 things in here, as far as the parties go. So, I'm predicting now, and it's safe to assume, that this man will be president. This is Lee Jaemyung. He's from the Democratic Party of Korea. Ex-Songnam mayor, ex-Gyeonggi-do governor. If you go back on my channel enough, you will see me ranting about this guy. He is responsible for the mandatory corona testing that every foreigner in Gyeonggi-do had to get. This is by dictation from his government when I lived in, well, I still live in the same house. Oh, Kevin, if you're coming to Korea, you should get a corona test. That wasn't the issue. The issue was that anyone who was a foreigner living in Gyeonggi-do had to get one. Which is, I said this in my video, xenophobic at best and racist at worst. At worst. So that's his policy. That was, give or take, about 6 months into Corona, so it was at the beginning. It doesn't justify it, but, people were scared and it was a big deal. And it, we all lived through that, unless you're 4 years old and watching my channel, which you're not. But that's what I remember about him, is him making me get a Corona test. And I told my co-teachers too, I'm like, I need to leave on Wednesday. I'm not gonna go on my own time, are you fucking kidding me? I'm gonna go on company time. This is a mandatory thing. So I said, I need to get a Corona test, and I said, the government said, and she said, no you don't. I said, yes I do. Kevin, none of the other teachers have to get one. I know, I'm aware. Yeah, so, that's Lee Jaemyung. He has some good policy ideas. I'm a political science graduate. If he does things I agree with, I'll say, and if he does things I don't agree with, I'll say. I try not to be beholden to, it'd hard to be an ideologist in a country that I can't vote in or that I'm not a citizen of, but, he wants to make a 4.5 day work week, great. We could all use a Friday afternoon off. So, this is Kim Moonsoo. He was, I believe, the education minister under Yoon Suk-yeol. This is the party that Yoon Suk-yeol belongs to. Infamous and famous for, why am I telling you about Yoon Suk-yeol? He was the president. He got impeached. The criminal trial's ongoing, but he did get guilty or impeached for his insurrection. I've made videos about that too. The one thing I know about this guy is when he was governor... Oh, another governor of Gyeonggi-do, actually. They're both ex-governors. He was governor first. He called 119, which is the Korean 911, And he basically asked the guy, what's your emergency, right? And he said, what's your policies surrounding transferring or transporting a patient from one hospital to another? And, the guy at 119 emergency service is like, sorry? Like, what's your emergency? He goes, do you know who I am? I'm Kim Moonsoo, the governor of Gyeonggi-do. And of course, if someone... This would be like if Elon Musk called 911, or Pete Buttigieg or Ludnick, or I'm the Secretary of Commerce. It's like, okay, bud. Like, what are the? You're not gonna buy that. So, you can't say that to his face, but in your mind, you're gonna say, fat fucking chance, right? Yeah, of course you're not Kim Moonsoo. But he called 119 and wanted them to explain their policies about certain things of, transporting patients between one hospital and another in an ambulance is not emergency 119 policy. I mean, it's medical. That's the only connection there, though. There are hospitals involved. That's the connection. And they're going, okay, but what's your emergency? And you go, well, I'm Kim Moonsoo and I'm your boss and you're going to answer to me. And it's like, okay, bud. Yeah. President Trump could call 119. Mark Carney could call 911 and say, if this were to happen, what are your protocols or policies regarding this? And, you're not my fucking boss. It's like saying, the manager of Yosemite National Park. It's like saying Trump is his boss. It's like, not really. In a way, if you follow the chain of command up the federal government, yes. But, no. If Trump came in and said you're fired to someone at a national park, they'd go, okay. No. If you really wanted to pressure the people into doing it, sure. But if the Secretary of the Environment or Natural Resources, whatever the American one is for national parks, if they came in and said, you're fired to some employee at a park, they'd go, I'm sorry, who are you? Yeah. That's not how HR works, right? So this is a stain on his reputation. I'm only bringing up bad things for these people. Anyway, this is number 4. There was 1, Lee Jaemyung, 2, Kim Moonsoo. They're ranked in order of polling before the election. The more popular you are, the more higher a number you get. 3, which is not this one, 3 dropped out. He threw his weight behind Lee Jaemyung, the first guy. So he did that after the numbers were assigned. So there is no 3. But we got number 4. This is Lee Junseok. From what I know, and take it with a grain of salt, he's considered the incel king. Angry young men going, yeah, why don't women shut the fuck up? Huh? Why are they working so much and taking jobs from men? You'll have to do your own research on that. I'm parroting what I've read. I am not an expert on this man. I'm not an expert on any of these people, although the first 2 I know more about. He was recently in hot water because he said, what's wrong with ramming a chopstick of a woman's vagina? And everyone's like, what the fuck? And he's like, I'm quoting his son. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to quote someone, you should probably say, in the words of, or this is a quote from, you don't just say it and then when you get backlash the next day, clarify who said it, right? Did the Holocaust really happen even? My uncle said that once, 7 years ago. Anyway, that's what's in these envelopes. Anyone who lives in Korea who is not a Korean, you will see these stuffed into every mailbox in your apartment building at some point. You won't get one. But that's what's inside. These are basically pamphlets. These are my policies. This is who I am. This is why you should vote for me, etc., etc. So, back to beer.